Welcome back to the Clerc podcast show. This is the first official episode in Mankato, Minnesota. We just moved from Windham. We are actually in my bedroom right now. We're all very cramped in here. Not a lot of room. The camera's sitting on my bed. We got lights just all over the place, and we're all trying to make it work. But we're still out here podcasting, so that's what it's all about. You got to make things work. We got a whole new crew of people here on this episode of the podcast. It's very great to have a whole new crew. And we got a new producer to start off with. Dalton Bristow did 20 episodes, so huge shout out to him. It was great to have him, and he did a really good job. But he's moving on to different things. So Peter Ignaszewski is the new producer of the show in Mankato. So thank you, Peter, for coming and joining us, and hopefully you can produce a good show, I guess. Tonight, joining me, we have, of course, Colin Kaepernick, the co-host, the white devil I call him with the hair.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. And the man of the hour, Reynaldo.
That's me right here.
Reynaldo Capetillo.
You guys already know.
Abdi Capetillo.
Yep.
How many last names do you have?
I mean, it's my middle name, though.
Oh, my bad.
Come on.
You put that on everything, though, so I thought it might have been two last names or
you gotta
something.
represent the middle name.
Yeah, true. And you're from Mountain Lake?
Yeah, Mountain Lake.
Well, you lived in Windham, went to Mountain Lake School, so he's like a Mountain Lake Windhamite kind of. But good to have you. A good friend of ours. Been in a couple of the movies. You were in the most recent one, Cottonwood.
Yep.
Big shootout scene.
Mm-hmm.
Great to have you. And the guest of the night, we were just on your podcast last night. I don't know when that'll air, actually. I was about to ask you.
I don't know either. I mean, it'll be by the end of the week.
End of the week.
Yeah.
And people could check that out on...
Go to myz99.com or check out our Facebook page or the Brad and Sarah Facebook page. It's also available on iTunes.
Awesome. So check out... Me and Colin are going to be on Sarah's show. Before I get into talking any more about her, this is Sarah Fetti, and it's great to have you on, first of all.
Thank you.
The first Mankato, what is it, Mankato White? Mankato in?
The first Mankato. I'm originally from Bloomington. I'm originally from the Twin Cities, but I've been here for 15 years.
15 years?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, so, you know.
You know the area pretty well. Better than us.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I will always feel like an outsider, though.
Really?
I mean, these smaller towns... they're very insular.
You kind of have the people who've lived here their whole lives. They kind of they know everybody. I get that. But I mean, how did you get it? Well, before we get into anything, how did you kind of get into radio, and how did you get into broadcasting?
It's a long story. Radio. It wouldn't happen this way anymore. I was an intern at our now competitor station. It was K-Dog at the time.
Oh.
Now it's Hot 96.7. I was an intern, and I went from being an intern to being a morning show co-host. My current co-host now, who I've always had basically as my co-host, was hired to replace someone. And the woman who was supposed to be his co-host and him, they didn't click really on the air. And so a week later, they pulled me in, and we've been together ever since.
Wow.
So.
Did you go to college for this? Or
No, I never. You know what? No, never finished college.
Oh, really?
I never finished.
Dang.
So I kind of got into my dream career and ended up doing what I wanted to do. And so this is where I'm at.
So when you were a kid, you're like, I want to be a radio.
Well, I think I was always involved in acting, and I actually, I did. We used to play radio all the time. I did want to be. I did want to be on the radio. I just never thought I could do it.
Could happen.
And then I moved down here actually to finish college, which I didn't do, and ended up being on the air. It would never. It was during a time where you could still could kind of like apprentice under someone or be mentored by someone.
Yeah.
In the radio industry.
Not anymore.
And the radio industry is vastly different than it was even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. So I mean. I don't know.
So what were you going to school for?
Who the hell knows? I mean, I was all over the place. I was all over the place. I for a while was studying fashion merchandising, and then I was studying communications. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew, I came from a family where it was you had to go to college. You went to college.
Oh yeah, typical.
And I just went. I wasted a ton of money and so
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we could kind of talk about that too, because we kind of touched on it when we were on the podcast. You started talking about radio and how it's kind of a dying thing, and how you said you kind of said you knew that you might not have a job in a couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds really awful.
Yeah,
but it is kind of depressing, and I know a lot of like the long time. You want to turn me down a little bit, Peter?
Yeah, turn me down a little bit.
All the longtime people that I've worked with, who've been in the radio industry for 20 plus years, I don't think they want to see that. They don't want
No.
to see. They don't want to accept it. But it is. I mean, it's everything has moved. I mean, obviously everything has moved to automation. I was kind of showing you some of the systems last night.
Yeah.
Which those have been in place for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's an industry where you can pay someone to voice track, and I mean, even in major markets, most everything is voice tracked or syndicated.
Wow.
They're piping in the Ryan Seacrest show or something,
Yeah.
and
Bigger radio
yeah,
shows,
right. Yeah. I mean, and it's just, I don't know. And it's an industry that needs to adapt. The thing is it's something like 92% of people still listen to the radio every week.
Oh, wow.
For a form of media. It still is a relevant form of media.
Yeah.
It just needs to somehow change in some way.
There's a different way that maybe a different way that people can stream it. Is that the kind of where you're saying?
Possibly.
Kind of like iHeartRadio.
Possibly. I mean, maybe moving more towards podcasts, maybe moving more towards streaming or being more digitally interactive.
Yeah,
that is one thing, my company has been doing. They have kind of embraced a lot of the digital aspects in a way.
Yeah.
Some radio stations haven't. So
yeah, well, that's interesting. It's going to be weird to see where all these radio people are that are doing radio shows right now are going to be in like 5 to 10 years. Are they going to be all switching over to podcasts? That's why I think it's so good that you're doing a podcast and your co-host Brad's doing a podcast.
And I have and we're using the equipment at the station. I don't have 1/20th the ingenuity to do what you guys have done here. I mean, this is really cool. This is very, very cool. And you're all self-taught, and this is very neat.
Yeah, it was just kind of an idea. I think to kind of go back on this, it was kind of something that I talked to Colin and Tylen about back in March. I'm like, God, it'd be kind of fun to do a podcast, because we were watching like Joe Rogan and all those guys online. I'm like, God, that'd be really fun actually. And then I'm like, on eBay, I filled up the cart with everything I thought we needed, $300 worth of stuff or whatever. I'm like, Tylen,
that's amazing.
Yeah, hit buy it now. Tylen goes over, clicks it, and they never thought I'd do it. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks.
And to think you've only been doing it since March.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
We're only 20. This will be the 21st episode.
Yeah.
So, and the first episode of Mankato. So I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't know who's gonna come out.
Out of your room.
Hopefully out of my room.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Yeah. We're gonna hopefully get a studio. That is, for anyone else, this is a good time to actually say that. For anyone else watching, it'd be good to, if anyone knows any studios or any rental spaces we could use for the podcast, that'd be awesome. If anyone
we're definitely looking.
Yeah.
We're looking for somewhere we can get out of this room.
I don't think your mic is on.
I was going to say, I don't think your mic is on either at all.
Hey, turn Colin up. He's 3. Talk now.
Testing 1 2.
I still don't hear him.
I don't think his mic is plugged. Is your mic not plugged in?
2 hours later.
We had a little bit of technology problems back there. When you're dealing with technology, of course, we're going to have problems. So I think we got it figured out. And we were talking about getting out of this room. I think that was the big problem, getting out of this.
We're looking for a space in Mankato.
Yeah, so if anyone has anything, a garage, a shed, a yard, anything really.
An abandoned warehouse.
An abandoned butcher shop, anything really, we gladly take that. So what were we talking about here though? Podcasting, the future of radio, and I really do think that the way to go is podcasts. And I think right now, especially with the growth of them, I was telling you about how a lot of our guests that have come on have wanted to start podcasts now because they had so much fun and they just want to talk to people. And
the hard part is getting the guests. That's the hard part, is getting people to come on.
Exactly, finding people who are interesting, and
we're looking for people too in Mankato that.
Reynaldo.
I'm not that interesting. I'm just gonna chill,
Well, everyone can bring something to the table, and I know we were talking about like conspiracies and stuff. What are some of the things you believe in, Sarah?
Oh, geez. Oh my gosh. What are some of the?
Because you talked about end of the world, and you always got to be ready. And
well, I just feel like being prepared, and part of that is, on a very practical level, my husband brewing beer and wine, and us having all that.
Yeah.
I mean, and we have our own garden, and we can vegetables and things like that. I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you honestly, as a 41-year-old person who could be every single one of your moms. It's a scary time right now. Like, I've never lived through a political climate that has freaked me out so much, where I feel like everyone's lost their damn mind.
Oh, big time.
I mean, I've never, ever, ever felt like that before. I mean, we've had, presidents and political situations where maybe I haven't agreed.
Yeah.
But like I feel like it's in capable hands. Like
Yeah.
you know, I may not have agreed with things that any of the Bushes did, but I felt like you know what politics is, and it'll work itself out. I don't feel like that right now. Like I feel it's every day, and I think part of it too. And I was talking to our news director too.
Yeah.
Is part of our job is to constantly monitor our social media interactions through the stations, and you know, in order to get web hits, a lot of the web hits we get are because of our news stories, and so we have to like monitor all those things, and maybe people have always been racist a-holes around here, and I just chose not to see it. I mean, the good thing is now I know who to avoid, but I mean, every day it's like everyone feels emboldened to have these attitudes, these just destructive attitudes, and it frightens me. It honestly scares me.
Yeah.
I've never felt that way. When I was your age, gosh, I'm even trying to remember who the president was off the top of my head.
When you were our age?
Probably.
What year was it?
Well, let's see here. In so it would have been 20 years ago was 1998. So that would have been
George.
it was Clinton.
Clinton? Was it Bill?
Clinton. And I remember, and that summer I was in college and I had gone to Spain and I had gone to Europe on a program with the University of Minnesota. And I mean, we caught a lot of crap about Bill Clinton's Monica Lewinsky scandal. And I do remember
the blowjob or what?
Yeah. And I remember at the time being kind of embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're kind of like a laughing stock.
Yeah.
And people would, you know, oh, you're American, and you know, kind of give us all of us students like crap about it. And it was embarrassing, but nothing to how I feel now.
Yeah.
I mean, on a completely different level. I feel scared. I don't know.
Huh. Well, and kind of to go back to the racist comment, that was interesting. And I think that it is weird how you're seeing more like racist things coming out right now. More like you hear about it all the time. Is it because, this is a question I have, is it because more people are talking about it that it's becoming more in the limelight? Maybe when Obama was president that people didn't talk about racism as much? Or do you think that there's more racist now that Trump is president? That's just I guess I don't know. I
think maybe the thing that I'm scared of is I think a lot of people have had these opinions and they just haven't had the avenues with which to express those opinions. You know, social media takes up so much of our day now.
Oh yeah.
And it is accessible to every generation at this point in time. Like for instance, the big story that we've had the past 2 days has been about the Madison Lake police chief. Did you hear about that? I haven't even heard
about it, no.
So the Madison Lake police chief, and Madison Lake is probably, 15 miles away from here. He posted on his personal Facebook page, it was a little video, and this has already made national news.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
He posted a little Facebook rant. He was visiting Yellowstone National Park with his family, and he makes a comment. You're going to have to watch this video.
I'm going to check it out. Can we pull it up, actually?
Yeah, actually, we should be able to pull it up.
Madison Lake Police Department Chief?
Madison Lake Police Chief. And you can hear what he says. And I actually would like to hear your points of view.
Before you tell me about it?
Before I tell you about it.
Okay.
And tell me what you think you think he's saying. Because I've had to sit with this for 2 days through all our different...
Could it be interpreted different ways, or is that what you're kind of saying?
From the reactions I've been getting through our different social media channels from Mankatoans.
Trying to figure out which one to look at.
I didn't think it could be interpreted in different ways.
Oh.
However, there you go. That's the guy. Oh. I want to hear what you guys think his message is.
Let me see here.
See if you can see his video. His video is KUIC. Go to KUIC.com.
KUIC?
Yeah.
Madison Lake, Minnesota.
Just go to Google.
I don't even think I've heard of Madison Lake before. That's pretty close?
It's close. It's just a few miles outside of Eagle Lake. Lake Washington is the big lake around here that a lot of people go to,
yeah,
and it's right on there.
Just type in KUIC
I
Madison.
Just saw it. It was the third one.
Go back.
It should be on the videos right there.
Look into here, Chief's Facebook video. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at this.
As the city will now look into a racially charged statement by its police chief while off duty.
An anonymous tip to both the city and KEYC News 12 on Monday brought attention to that video. Chief Dan Bundy posted that video on his Facebook page while on vacation at Yellowstone National Park back in July. On Monday, City Administrator Clerc said the chief and the police department had the city's full support and they would not be looking into the matter. Today, Kephart released a statement saying, in part, quote, "The city has no control over what individuals post to their social media accounts. Individual posts do not..."
They're not going to actually show the video?
This is today's thing. I think it was yesterday's one they show the video.
Can you see?
Yeah, I was looking up at his too.
There, go to that top one right there.
If that's from yesterday.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Okay, try this one. Probably going to be an advertisement before.
Yeah, of course it is. Pre-roll.
More political advertisements too. Great.
I know, right?
We don't support him, but we don't
I
know.
don't even know. I don't know anything.
Yeah,
We don't know.
anything
Hey, I don't know
about
anything
this.
about him. Don't be saying that.
Well, we can't pick sides.
You could pick sides. I don't really care. Do
You
whatever you,
can
want.
pick sides.
All right, here we
After
go.
an anonymous tip to the Madison Lake City Administrator and KUIC News 12, a video has surfaced of the Madison Lake Police Chief making a racially charged statement while off duty. The chief posted the video on Facebook while on vacation at Yellowstone National Park in July. KUIC News 12's Erica Brooks has the latest.
So I'm sitting here at Yellowstone Park in the good old of USA. Proud veteran. And listen to the languages I hear. All I hear is wake up, America.
Madison Lake City Administrator Clerc Kephart.
That's your police
So
chief.
he ends it with wake up, America.
Yeah, I don't get that.
So what do you think his message was trying to convey?
Well, I think he's mad. Yeah, he's mad that he's not seeing more Americans there. But it is racist. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about it.
Yeah.
And if people are arguing that it isn't, they're ignorant. And I think that I think this is the other thing. I think he has the freedom of speech. He can say whatever he wants. I'm going to get that out of the way. He can go on there and call people whatever he wants. That doesn't mean anyone has to agree with him. I disagree with him. I don't think he should be saying that. It's definitely a racist comment. But if people are saying that he shouldn't be allowed to say stuff like that, he can say whatever he wants.
That's kind of just a stupid video to post.
It is a stupid video to post. But he is in a higher position, and I think that should be taken into accountability as well.
Yeah. Do you guys agree? Do you think that was kind of what he was saying?
Yeah, I definitely think it was, and I think that was ridiculous.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think, Reynaldo?
I mean, Reynaldo as the person with the clearly Hispanic name and the brown skin.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why does he have to, just post and make it, public for everyone to see it and just
why do you gotta put that on Facebook?
I mean, just to say, all I hear is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No,
that's stupid.
Stupid.
Yeah, that was
why?
probably that was just a
So
stupid
first
video.
off, I mean, he's in an international tourist destination.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so that's dollars coming into our American economy because people are being a tourist. And you're going to hear other languages.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is, he does have the freedom of speech. He has the
Yeah.
right to say whatever he wants. However, he's not free from consequences of that.
Yeah.
And then someone who, communication, the one thing that I'm disappointed in, because the majority of the reactions that I see, now granted, these are people commenting on KUIC's post.
Yeah, I'm
on
curious as to what people
the
are
city
defending.
pages. Our news organization's post.
Yeah.
The overwhelming, I would say actually probably 60-40. 60 in the favor of, I don't see anything racist. Well, he's just saying, all he hears is blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you're being deliberately obtuse.
Yeah.
It's very clear. Communication is not just words. Communication is tone of voice. Communication is signals.
Yep.
It's he's communicating in a way, signaling with his veteran cap.
Yep.
He's communicating. It doesn't sound like a welcoming message to immigrants.
No.
There's nothing welcoming about the way he's talking.
No.
Now, if he was, you could turn it around and be like, if he had a positive attitude, if he took his sunglasses off, if he said something like, I'm at Yellowstone and all I hear is foreign languages, and he said it in an upbeat voice, that could be interpreted as he's happy that foreigners are.
Exactly, yeah.
But that's not
what he's saying.
The context
No,
of what he's saying.
no.
And the thing is he's someone who has the ability to pull people over. He has the ability to put people in jail.
Yeah.
He has a gun.
Yep.
If that's what he thinks on his personal time.
Yeah. That's scary.
The idea is that's going to bleed over into his public life.
Yeah.
So
It is scary because that's just such an immature video.
Isn't it? I mean, isn't that like so stupid? Like, I would be so PO'd.
Yeah.
Not that my son would ever post something like that, but it's like, you sound like a douche.
Or your husband or your uncle or
you
anybody.
sound like a moron.
Yeah.
I mean...
What do people want to happen to him? Like, because he can't get in legal trouble, obviously.
He could. I mean,
could he?
Could he really?
He could. You can get. I mean, I could get in trouble. You can. People get fired over stuff they put on Facebook all the time.
But not charges or anything.
No, but he could lose his job, and
he's just gonna get
voted
out.
I don't know if he's fit to be a police officer. If you're racist, obviously you're not. Law enforcement is not the line of work.
Because we kind of have a problem with that in this country right now.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a police officer and anyone darker than ivory.
There's definitely racist police officers, and this just doesn't support the cause that there aren't.
Just look at some of the comments on anything on any of the social media.
Try to find some comments, Peter.
I mean, it's just it's so ignorant. It is so ignorant. But the other thing that just pisses me off is it's willfully ignorant. I mean, it's people who don't want to learn.
Yeah,
that's what makes me so angry.
Yeah. And I guess I meant more with the freedom of speech comment is that if that was just somebody who didn't have like a very important job, they can say whatever they want.
Yeah.
But for somebody who's in a high position where they can make big decisions that could affect someone's life, obviously someone who's racist is not fit or should not be doing those comments, posting them online at all.
They're saying that it was back in July or whatever that he posted it. Now it's coming up. That's kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, someone must have stumbled on his page.
Yeah.
I mean, and
but you.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
It was a complaint.
Right away.
It was an anonymous complaint. Someone. So I'm assuming, I don't know. Someone found it. He took it down off his page.
Yeah. That's crazy. I'd like to follow the story and see what kind of happens with it. It's interesting.
I mean, and the thing too is that like the other thing I've heard from a lot of people is, well, he was saying that in his personal life. Like, that's just how people talk.
Don't post it on Facebook.
Well, but the thing is too but that's not right either.
No.
You can't be like, well, I'm just a racist at home.
Yeah.
I'm only a Nazi at home in my off time.
Yeah.
I mean, no, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be a Nazi.
Yeah.
Don't be a racist.
Oh,
I mean, and of course, overwhelmingly, the people who don't see a problem with this are white people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean that is bad, and it's surprising too. I'd love to see the arguments that people are making for this guy or whatever. And while Peter's looking this up, kind of another big, huge topic in the news right now is the Colin Kaepernick. Nike.
Right, yeah.
I'd like to get your opinion on that.
Did you watch the commercial?
I saw the commercial.
The commercial's amazing.
It's a good commercial, yeah. But the thing that people were so upset about was the poster.
Yeah.
The commercial. The commercial just came out.
What happened? People saw the poster. They're all bashing it. The commercial dropped. Everybody just was amazed because Nike did an amazing job.
What do you think about the poster?
I support Colin Kaepernick 100%. I'm absolutely 100%.
100%.
I see absolutely nothing wrong with what he's doing. I don't think it's disrespectful, and I hate the fact when people pull in the veteran thing.
Yeah.
I just because you're a veteran, that's not a card that you can play that makes you more loyal to the United States than anyone else. I mean, there is a problem. There is a horrible racial divide. There is generations of systemic social issues that stem from slavery. And that's not something you can get over in 30 years or and
it takes a while.
And for him to I mean, and I think kneeling, I mean, it's social protest. That's how things happen. That's how things change. To get pissed off that he's quietly protesting, that's fine. I have no problem.
I guess more of my view on it is that I think Nike can, like I said, Nike do whatever they want. But I think the only thing that I had with it was, I don't remember what the exact. You could look at the poster, Pete. I don't remember what the exact thing said.
Was that he gave up everything?
Yeah,
because everyone was.
Yeah, well, that's kind of. I say if I have any issue with it, that is the only thing. This is a man who's making like millions of dollars a year, hundreds of millions of dollars a year. He didn't give up anything.
Well,
he lost his job in the NFL, but that people argue that could have been because of talent too. I don't think that this is a man who gave up. I think Nike, and like I said, Nike can do whatever they want. I don't have any issue with Nike. I'm not boycotting Nike. I just think that for them to say this is a man that gave up big things or whatever, I don't know if I agree with that very much.
Yeah.
I think that he's a guy who kneeled. You can do whatever you want. Like I said, I could care less. I don't know if I agree with their stance on him
Peter,
giving
go
up.
on Google.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to find.
It's
this
right
is
there,
the most
yeah.
talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, go to Google. Get off
just
Yahoo.
Oh, he's on Yahoo. I'm
I
wondering
know.
why we can't find
no
anything.
wonder nothing. You can't find anything. You may as well be on Bing. Yeah, you know, I mean, and one argument, and you make a total valid point. I mean, but it's all subjective. Like, one person's everything
could be different
than, I mean, and you could argue that he gave up, you know, his social status or potential to make money or respect from people. See, Google works so much better.
Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of people who hate him.
Oh yeah.
And one could argue that's, you know, putting yourself out there and getting threats. I mean, that is sacrificing your safety, your personal safety, and your image, your image. But yeah, I mean, and I think that is what a lot of people have.
Yeah, I think that's where people get pissed off about it, is because, like you said, they compare it to veterans, or they compare it to something else. People who did lose everything are risking everything.
But it's not a zero-sum argument. I mean, you can have respect for veterans who give their lives. Yeah. You know, I come from a family of veterans, and my son is in the National Guard.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can't also admit that there's social injustice.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is that Nike has always been controversial.
True.
Charles Barkley, when he did, I don't know if you guys, was it Charles Barkley? Was it his ads in the 90s? Was it the 90s when he said, "I'm not a role model"?
Oh, no.
People hated it. Those ads ran forever.
Really? I don't.
And
never
he
heard
would
about
see
that.
if you can pull that up. Like,
he probably
just type
isn't
in,
a role model. He's a dirty player.
No, but I mean, but the thing is, you know, at the time, you're a pro basketball star. You need to be a role model. You need to
like
be
kids and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh.
You need to, and his whole, it was like the TV ads and everything. Their whole campaign for 10 years was on this. People hated it. And it was extraordinarily divisive at the time.
Really?
I never even heard of that.
Yeah.
You guys were probably not even born yet.
Probably not. No.
You guys probably weren't born. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, there's a way. Nike's not stupid.
No. Oh, no. They I was looking at numbers they've made, and sales are up like 30% since this ad.
Yeah.
They're geniuses, actually.
Yeah, see, there you go. And that was his quote. "I'm not a role model. Just because I dunk a basketball doesn't mean I should raise your kids."
Oh, yeah. I can see how people get riled up, I guess.
Yeah, Nike is geniuses,
I mean,
because everybody could say they're boycotting it, burning their old stuff, but that doesn't work because they already paid for it.
They already made their money.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And that's such a small... I feel like the people who are burning stuff and everything, that's just crazy, but... They're a small percentage of people.
Yeah.
I don't think the people who are burning Nike stuff is their target market anyway.
No,
I don't think people
don't
who
care.
are willing to burn Nike things are probably, their target goal audience. So, I'll have to look more into the Madison Lake police chief, though. That is...
You'll have to follow that.
That's
because
crazy.
I think they've gotten a lot of pressure over the past couple days. And I think the ACLU is involved and is possibly suing them. So
holy cow, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. We will be right back in the second half. Not sure what we will be getting into, but I'm sure it'll be a good topic. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Eat the Clerc podcast show. Make sure you share, comment, like, subscribe, and review us on iTunes, Facebook, and any other platform you're watching it on, because it helps us out. Also, give us suggestions for people you'd like to see on here, or ideas for topics, because we're always looking for stuff to talk about. Like Sarah brought in this Madison Lake police chief. I had no idea about that at all.
Big news of the past 2 days.
Yeah, and I don't really... did we lose our microphone again?
Nope. I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Make sure. Reynaldo, we still got you?
No, yep, I'm here.
Reynaldo Capetillo?
I'm good.
Colin's on here. Amazing. The technology's working. Well, the first half, we kind of got into politics. We were talking about a lot of different things, from Nike to the Madison Lake police chief to radio broadcasting and podcasting. And Sarah started talking about the history of Mankato, which we obviously have no idea about, the mass hanging.
Well, and it's disturbing to me because, honestly, I didn't learn about the Dakota War when I was growing up and in school.
Yeah,
and
I don't think we did either.
Obviously, you guys didn't either.
No.
So the Dakota War, which happened and I had said, you know, your guest that you've had on before a few times, Brian Joyce, would be a much better one to talk about this, because I don't want to get the facts wrong, because I don't want to misrepresent or disgrace.
We got Google here.
So
the internet's not always true.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Yeah, but so, you know, the backstory. I mean, a bunch of white people did a bunch of bad things to the Native Americans around here. Didn't keep their promises.
Yeah.
And, so there was a large war. Many people died in the 1860s, which was called the Dakota War. And somehow out of that, 38, and I think it was supposed to be originally more than that, Native Americans were set to be hanged.
Really?
And Lincoln somehow pardoned some of them. And once again, Brian, if you're listening, I apologize. You'll have to correct me on this. But he pardoned some of them, but they still did go through with 38. So it's the Mankato 38. And the hanging site, and you can look, there's I don't know if it's a photo or if it's an illustration of what the actual gallows look like, because they built one to hang 38 men all at once. It was located right where the library is right now.
You've seen it or what?
I've never.
Oh
yeah, yeah. That's it. That is the Blue Earth County Library, in downtown Mankato, and so right when you go on Riverfront, I mean, it's literally just like 4 blocks from you right now.
We'll have to check it out.
Right when you go down Riverfront, and then there's that bison statue.
Yep, okay. I've seen that.
So that is Reconciliation Park, and that bison statue is in honor of the 38 men who lost their lives.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's a tragic history. It's the largest mass execution in the United States, and Mankato holds that really dubious distinction. And it happened, I want to say, December 26th. And so every year on December 20, I think that they leave probably a few days prior, like December 23rd or something. A bunch of native peoples will ride horses.
Oh, really?
Through town. I mean, I don't know where they take off from, but they go through, and I know they go through kind of like the Lake Crystal area. In honor of those people. So I mean, it's usually and some people run.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. I mean, it's really, really, really. Oh, here's a good quote. Minnesota Governor Alexander Ramsey: "The Sioux Indians of Minnesota must be exterminated or driven forever beyond the borders of the state."
Jeez.
Bounties were placed on the scalps of Dakota people, which eventually reached $200. Can you imagine $200 in that time?
Back then, that's a lot of money.
So yeah, see, there's the bison. So with that tragedy, obviously, comes a lot of potential paranormal stuff, and and it is like kind of a trope, the old worn out trope, the Indian burial ground. This house was built on an Indian burial ground, and, and that kind of thing. And part of that is the exotic, the fetishization of native peoples, But supposedly, 303 Indian males were set to be hanged.
Oh,
so
that's a lot.
I mean, so thanks, Lincoln, for reducing that down to only quote unquote 38. But yeah, just a few blocks from here.
Wow.
And so a lot of people in the paranormal community say that this area is cursed. And Tom Urban, who I had on my podcast, talks about how there is the legend of the Bone Eaters in this area.
We'll talk about that. I don't know. What's that?
You'll have to talk to him because I can't even really remember.
Sounds like we got to move, Ethan.
I know. Right. I mean, and it is.
There is
kind of some bad mojo. I mean,
really?
I don't know. People have said that it's cursed, that the entire area of Mankato is cursed, that we're under a bubble.
Jeez.
You
believe in all this paranormal stuff?
I do believe in the paranormal stuff.
Really?
I've had stuff happen to me. I do believe it.
I think he's saying about this paranormal stuff. Or you believe in
I don't know if it's cursed. I don't know. I don't want to say that Mankato is cursed.
Yeah.
I think it's to be respectful. I think, this is something a lot of people, paranormal societies will try and do, like ghost hunts around that location and along the river. And to me, that feels a little disrespectful. Like let their souls rest. I mean, let them be. I don't really like that. That's like the Valeska axe murder house in Iowa. Do you know about that?
No, I don't know about that either.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of stuff I don't know about.
Is that the one where the father killed his family?
It wasn't the father. It was, we don't know who killed the entire family.
Well, explain the story a little bit.
It's in Valeska, Iowa, and I think it's spelled Villisca. And this goes back to exploiting a horrible tragedy. Like the Dakota men who lost their lives, ghost hunting around there. I mean, one could argue that that's exploiting that horrible tragedy. And the Valeska axe murder house is kind of the same thing. It's now a tourist destination. It's a farmhouse.
You can pay to spend the night.
You can pay to spend the night.
Jeez.
And it is when was that? Like 1900s? I mean, look at how old that was.
1912.
Okay. So the year the Titanic sunk. So the entire family, and they had some little girls staying with them too, like from a neighboring farm.
Wow.
So I think it was like 6 people were murdered in the middle of the night, just viciously murdered, axe murdered. No one knows who did it. There was like no sign of entry. I mean, it's just a huge mystery.
This sounds like a movie idea.
And it is. It would
they made a movie, didn't they?
I don't know.
I thought they did.
See, look at that sign. I mean, obviously, you know what you're.
It's like a haunted house.
You know what you're getting when you go to a place like that, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And
do you sleep in the beds then? Or
I would never. That's like the Lizzie Borden house too. That house, the Lizzie Borden house, you can stay there.
Lizzie Borden house.
The Lizzie Borden, the 130 wax. She killed her family.
No.
Oh my God, you guys! It's like you guys are just new to this. It's like you guys are only 20 something.
What were they teaching us in school?
I know they weren't clearly teaching you the right things.
Why aren't we learning about demons in school?
Yeah. So Lizzie Borden is kind of the same thing. That was on the East Coast.
Oh.
She was a young woman who killed her family with an axe.
Jeez. What's wrong with these kids?
Yeah.
Give them the axe.
Yeah, but there's different theories as to why did Lizzie Borden just lose her. Can I swear? Because I've been swearing.
Of course you can swear.
Like, why did she lose her shit and kill her dad and her stepmother and I mean, there's some theories that perhaps there was some sexual abuse going on.
Oh my gosh. Like the Menendez brothers, kind of.
Yeah, and so
Is it just me or something wrong with her eyes?
Well, she does. She's got crazy killer eyes.
Yeah, we need the demon guy in here. Demon possession.
Yeah, right. So so she was born in 1860, but you can stay in that house. I don't know why you would want to. It feels so disrespectful.
Yeah.
And
scary.
And scary. Yeah. I mean, the case was never solved. So
wow.
I know that's a good one to look up, but it's a tourist industry. It's a whole tourist thing.
It really is. And I think even when we had Adrian on, he talks about the benefits of having ghost people come to your town because it brings people to the community. But beyond that, do you actually think that like the whole paranormal thing, the Ouija boards and all the paranormal stuff, there's truth to that?
To a certain extent. I mean, I've had things happen to me where it's just bizarre. It's just
you got some stories?
Well, right, yeah. So one of my favorite houses that my husband and I have lived in, because we bought a house last year, but we've been renting for quite a few years, and is in Lower North Mankato. I know you guys just moved here, but it's not too far from here, actually. It's an older neighborhood, kind of like this. And the house was built in 1900, and it was a pretty solid house. Like, it didn't have a bad energy or a bad vibe or anything. Yeah. But my husband always... And he's pretty conservative, straight and narrow. Yeah. Doesn't believe this stuff. Like, every time I listen to a paranormal podcast, because I'll do it when I'm cooking, he just rolls his eyes. And he just, like, this is so stupid. But then he'll say things like, oh, well, when we lived in Lower North, I could never sleep. I could never sleep in that house. He always says that. I could never sleep well. Because like those old 1900s houses, they all have those really steep stairs. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why they did that, but they did. And the stairs are, I mean, I feel like it was like 30 steps, just going almost like at a 90-degree angle almost.
Jeez.
And he could hear people stomping up and down the stairs all night.
Really?
And I sometimes could hear it too. Like, there were times where I would be like, oh my God, because we had a bathroom on the main floor too. And I would always use that bathroom. And so I was like, oh, did he just go down there? And then I would like look over and he'd still be sleeping.
Oh my gosh.
There were times too where I remember we were in bed and I heard someone walk around our bed. Like, I could feel, like, you know how like when you feel the floor vibrate and like someone walked around our bed. Also, limestone, which is Kasota stone and which is really abundant in this area. And a lot of houses are built out of that.
Really?
And our basement was basically just blasted out of limestone.
Wow.
Like, they just kind of gave up. They just kind of were like, whatever, we're just going to blast out this. It was a pretty large basement.
Yeah.
So the foundation of the house was that limestone. It's a really good conductor for recording things. And there were times where I would be in the house alone and I would hear, it sounded like people talking distantly.
Oh my gosh.
Like someone had like a radio on, like in another room, but really, really quiet.
Huh.
And when you think about it, it's amazing because we lived there until 2016, I think. So at that point in time, the house was 116 years old.
Wow.
Think of everything it saw.
Oh yeah, all the families, all the
things that it saw the advent of people, with cars.
Yeah.
Transitioning from, we had a coal cellar.
Yep.
Wow. Went through how many wars? The sinking of the Titanic, the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
It's just, so think of all the memories that kind of recorded, and so
Yeah.
I think that was what it was, the residual energy that I was hearing. I heard that a lot. I didn't have a bad vibe there like I did when we lived in rural Lake Crystal.
What was that?
We lived in, and that's funny because that house was just like a 1960s Rambler.
Yeah.
Just a one level.
Typical.
It was like a grandma house. It's like a house that everyone's grandmas have.
Yeah.
Like the one level.
Yeah.
And it was on an old farm site though, and it was kind of secluded. And that one had a creepy vibe. And when we moved in, it had been abandoned. The people who are our landlords had bought it as a foreclosure and flipped it. And when we moved in the basement, like kids had broken in and had done pentagrams and spray paint in the basement and painted red bloody handprints. I mean, part of it is just, I think, stupid teens just being stupid.
Yep.
But the house had just such a bad vibe.
Negative energy.
Mm-hmm. And the microwave, which was over our stove, would turn on in the middle of the night all the time.
Really?
All the time.
What do you do when you live in a house like that? Like, how do
it
you
was just
keep
weird.
doing
Like, it was all of a sudden, we were sleeping, and then all of a sudden, you would hear the microwave.
And it'd go off.
And I would, walk into the kitchen, and, it's all dark, but there's, a glowing microwave just on.
That's weird.
And it happened all the time.
That's weird.
All the frickin' time. And
did you think about getting a new microwave?
We did, and it still did the same thing.
No way. Okay, I was gonna say maybe it's a microwave.
Yeah, right.
Old
or
microwave.
The electrical wiring.
Yeah.
I mean, and it is. It could be. Maybe it had something to do with the electrical wiring.
I don't know.
How long did you live there for?
We only lived there for a year. We moved.
We had to get the heck out of there.
Well, and we moved out because the landlords had tried to cover up a black mold situation with paint.
Oh, jeez.
And my husband had a cough for 6 months.
Dang, that's bad.
But that brings to another point too, though, that they have found. When some people experience paranormal things, it's actually
hallucinogenic from the
black mold
and stuff.
So maybe that feeling I had was really just the black mold affecting me, but I didn't make up the microwave thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
That happened, most definitely.
So when you live in a house like that, don't you want to get out of there right away? You don't want to be there alone.
Feel
it's not like Amityville. Where,
no, right?
Kids staring at you in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I mean, and I did sage it. I did. And I've saged all my houses. I've smudged and saged all my houses.
What's sage mean?
You take a
sage.
Yeah, a bundle of sage.
Light it up and just go.
Yeah, and you go to all the corners of the house, and it clears the energies. And
oh, really?
Huh. And
we better empty everything out of here and do
let's
that.
Keep going. Yeah.
And it was really strange because that house. You could feel a huge difference before and after you saged it.
Really?
It was
that's so interesting.
All of a sudden, you could just take a deep breath and everything felt nicer. It just felt better. Have you ever saged Reynaldo?
No.
But you know of it.
Yeah,
right?
I know of it.
Can you get that son of a gun off the screen, please? Holy
Lizzie Borden.
Hey, I keep looking over. It's demon eyes staring at me.
That's your girlfriend, Ethan.
Yeah.
Get that out of here. Jeez.
Yeah. But what were you going to say, Reynaldo?
You've heard about
it? I mean, I know about it because I'm into all that creepy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know you were into that, Reynaldo.
Yeah.
I mean, it just gives you the creeps and just get a vibe with it. It's cool. It's kind of cool sometimes.
Yeah.
Is there science behind this or saging?
I don't. It's
more religious?
It's a traditional.
It's
a lot of different native cultures have rituals similar to that. Actually, our radio station that you were at, where my desk was back in that area, a former coworker of mine had Native American. I don't know what the reservation is over in Redwood Falls, but that's where he's from.
Oh, by the casino.
By the casino.
Oh, Barn,
and
whatever.
So a lot of his relatives are part of that tribe and everything, and so he saged and smudged that back area because we were going through we kept losing GMs. We kept losing our managers, and it was just all this bad luck. And so he brought it in and saged it, and smudged it as part of his Native American heritage.
Yeah.
So,
well, that kind of brings up a whole nother point because when we talked to Adrian, to keep going back to him, the paranormal guy, he talked about how certain people or a bunch of energy can actually create a spirit.
Tulpa.
Is that what it's called?
A tulpa.
Huh.
I was actually, and I hate that people talk about it now, because like 10 years ago I read about it and I had never heard about it, and I was going to write a book, and I started writing a book.
And you stopped?
A fiction, and then I just never, because I never finished it. But yeah, so it's a thought form.
That's what it is. Yeah. That's
a tulpa is a thought form, and there have actually been experiments done where people have actually created a person.
Really?
With their thought forms.
It's so interesting.
So tulpa, I think it's tulpa, Tulpa, is a like Nepalese, like from Nepal, Tibetan kind of concept. And and if enough people believe in something and put all their energy there through meditation or whatever, they can create a person. But then, then you run into, did you create that person with the soul? What if it turns into something evil? A lot of people,
demonic.
A lot of people think that that's perhaps what Bigfoot is, or Slender Man.
Really? Huh.
Slender Man started out on creepypasta as it started out as a fictional story.
Yep.
However, enough people have, believe in it.
Yeah.
And put their energy towards that. So is Slender Man real now?
Huh. That's crazy.
Is he a tulpa?
And when Adrian brought that up to me, that was the first time I'd actually ever heard of it. Because he was talking about the haunted house at the Bark, which is where we did the podcast before. And he's saying it's interesting that they do a haunted house in such a building with so much history and everything. All of these people having these negative, scary emotions could actually be creating real things that are actually scaring people.
Right.
And I'd never heard of it before. And that is what it is.
It's you're creating. Yeah, that's true.
That's crazy. And you said there's science behind it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there have been people I know in Canada at one point in time. I think it was like in the 1970s. There was an experiment where a group of people went out of their way to try. They worked on it for months and months and months. They would meet every week and try to create a person, and they did. And I can't remember what the guy's name is, but
look it up, Peter, so you can find it.
I don't. Peter, who's our Googler?
Yeah, 1970s.
So just say like Tulpa Canada experiment. Like, just see if something...
Is it Tulpa or Tulpa?
There's an L. Tulpa.
Tulpa.
I don't...
Canada.
Yeah.
Experiment. 1970s.
I want to say it was... I think it was Canada.
Just try that. We'll see if anything comes up here. Just out of...
I mean, it's pretty cool. Philip experiment. Yep, his name was Philip.
No way. We got it right away. Wow. Yeah.
Conjuring life from nothing.
Wow.
I know. Crazy,
you're right.
right?
1972. The Toronto Society for Psychic... What is that? Psychical? Never heard that.
Psychical research, yeah.
Psychical research, along with poltergeist expert Dr. A.R.G. Owen, set out to accomplish one singular objective: to create a ghost.
I know, right? And they gave him a name, Philip Aylesford, and they decided, this is what he's going to look like. He's going to have this kind of hair. He's going to have, dimples. He's going to, have a history. And so, he was a Catholic. They decided he was going to be a Catholic Englishman aristocrat who lived in the mid-1600s. He lived a well-off life at Diddington Manor.
Wow.
Married to a beautiful but cold woman. See, they got, really...
Yeah, they did a lot of work.
Yeah.
So go down to the... let's see if there's an outcome on here, Peter. If there's something for an outcome.
So they did it through seances. They somehow conjured him. And apparently, I think he was conjured during the seances. It's not like he was, on a Tuesday, they'd run into him at Shopko. I mean, he showed up during their seances.
Go down there, Peter, to the bottom. It said something. Ultimately, if we're to be honest, it was never what you could call an experiment. There was no control group or real scientific methodology involved. But whether they conjured a spirit, manifested their own unconscious will, or participated in shared hallucinations, the results of their endeavor are still a profound example of the power of the human mind.
And it could have been perhaps maybe group mass hysteria.
Oh, true.
A group hallucination.
Yep. Huh.
See, and it says group-wide hallucination. Yeah. A shared delusion. It could have been that. Wow. I mean, if you get enough people who are in that mind frame, it could be that. Or maybe they did create something.
That's crazy.
I don't know. It's really strange.
There's a lot of these. Yeah, there's a lot of these things that.
That's really
And another thing that I've been kind of thinking about this a lot because we talk about the paranormal stuff with Adrian and everything. I was trying to come up with a good argument to bring to him about how ghosts aren't real and all this.
Yeah.
I couldn't really get it into fruition before the episode, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately. It's just the randomness of human beings and how you don't even realize what other people are thinking or doing could create something weird that is not familiar to you, and you might call that a ghost. For example, let's say me and Colin, we go to the Bark all the time, and we're there, and we've pranked people, we've set stuff up, and we've done stuff, and then other people might run across that and say, oh my gosh, and then tell people, and then before you know it, there's a rumor started that there's a ghost in this building, and that's just because me and Colin or something, we set something up to try to scare people. So my whole theory is maybe people, there's a reasonable explanation for some of this stuff, but you'll never know about it because this was someone's idea in the back of their head, and that's just one example. Me and Colin setting up something at the Bark. There could be all kinds of stuff that you can't really explain, but it could be the randomness of just human beings around you doing weird things, because human beings are weird, if we're to be honest.
Yeah,
everyone does weird stuff.
Everyone. I mean, it's a human condition to try to make order of things, to try to make sense of things.
Yep.
You know, humans don't like unknown things.
Exactly.
And so which is how a lot of legends and
conspiracy
religious stories, you know, you could argue that a lot of different religious traditions are actually just stories, and because it's a way to explain what's happening around them.
Exactly.
So, and if they come from like a paradigm of thinking towards the supernatural, that's where their brain is going to go. You know, if you're someone who leans towards thinking about ghosts and everything, they're going to see you and Colin's whatever and immediately think ghost because their brain has to make order of it.
Yep.
If there's someone who is religious, like super religious, you know, that's, you know, like the people who see, you know, the Virgin Mary in the sky, that kind of thing. It's not just clouds. It could just be clouds, but they're hyper religious and they're Catholic.
Yeah.
And they believe in miracles, and they're going to see the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
You know, it's whatever bias you have, I think, is where your brain goes.
Yeah, true. I was
kind of like seeing a UFO in the sky. You see lights.
Right. And you immediately, if you're, you know, if that's where your interests lie, subconsciously and consciously, that your brain is going to go there.
UFOs, that's interesting. So that's a good point, though, because we all have these what we call unconscious biases in our head, where you just think there's things that you're not even really thinking of, but you're just like, that's what it was, or that's what it is, because you don't even know what's coming to your head, but it's just in there already. Like you said, someone who's religious would say that's this, and when we talked to John about conspiracies, we kept coming to this point: when people don't have an explanation for something, there's a conspiracy about it. For example, the JFK or 9/11, or because there's details and there's holes and there's things that aren't like filled in. People create a conspiracy to try to explain what actually happened. So that's whenever we talk about a conspiracy theory, I feel like we always come back to that point.
Yeah.
Someone couldn't figure it out, so they made up something, and before you know it, there's a whole group of people who are really interested in it. And I feel like that's why we get so drawn into conspiracies all the time, is because
it's fascinating.
It's fascinating, yeah. People's mindsets and people's way of thinking about very interesting topics. And you
could, you know, at the end, actually find something out. I mean, I remember when I distinctly remember in high school, learning about the Unabomber. I remember actually my entire childhood, the Unabomber was huge. I mean, it was always in the news.
Yep.
And you'd always hear about, you know, some airline pilot opened up his mailbox and there was a bomb in there, and and they always had, it was that famous image of the Unabomber, and it just felt like, you know how your childhood always feels like a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like it felt like they were never going to solve the Unabomber because it went on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And then they found Ted Kaczynski.
Yep.
I mean, which felt like an impossible task.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating, you know, but if people hadn't...
There he is.
Yeah, right? I mean, that one picture. I mean, God, I grew up watching Unsolved Mysteries and...
Probably the sketch, right?
Yeah, the sketch. Yeah, and his picture, you know?
That's
and,
fun. Yeah,
you know,
crazy.
If people hadn't delved into that quote-unquote conspiracy theory...
It might never have been
solved.
Yeah.
So... I don't know if I necessarily even like the idea of conspiracy, like the phrase conspiracy theory. Was that you that I was talking to about that last night?
No, I don't think so.
Where I just think it's just, you know, maybe an alternative theory or delving deeper. Like, it's just, you want to investigate something.
You're not trying to change people's minds. You're just kind of looking into it more.
Conspiracy just sounds so, like, paranoid and tinfoil hat.
Yeah, kind of like a weirdo or someone who has way too much time on their hands. Yeah, I agree. And kind of to go off the one thing, because you said you never knew if this would be solved.
It felt like that. When I was growing up, it was always that shadow of you know, just kind of like D.B. Cooper.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, who I think they pretty much know who it was now.
Because that was the whole story behind, that was the Zodiac Killer. Is that different?
No, D.B. Cooper was the one who in the 1970s hijacked the airplane.
And
jumped out of it with like $200,000. And they never, and somewhere over like the Washington, Oregon area, and they never found him.
Wow.
But I think they're pretty sure they found him now.
Because I thought that was kind of the same thing. Because we're pretty sure, people are pretty sure they know who the Zodiac Killer was. Here's I do remember that picture. Another guy with sunglasses.
Yeah.
Huh.
Right? I know.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah.
I know.
That's weird.
Another white guy. That's who we need to be afraid of.
These old white guys.
Yeah, right?
Dang.
I know.
Oh, where I was going with that, though, we talked to a guy named Dane on the podcast. He said he never knew if the Jacob Wetterling case in his lifetime would ever be solved because it went on for 27 years. And I don't know if you felt the same way. After you get to such a certain point. I thought that's how the Molly Tibbetts was going to end.
Yeah.
I thought we were never going to know.
Never going to know.
That was quick. I mean, it wasn't quick. It went on for too long.
It was quick compared to the other cases.
Yeah, for the other cases.
And the Jacob Wetterling thing, Jacob Wetterling would be my age exactly. So he was kidnapped at exactly the same. I think he was kidnapped when he was 12 and I was 12. Wow. And
that's crazy.
It just gives me chills because I remember when it happened. And I mean, when you're 12 years old, you're always afraid of being kidnapped. And my friends and I, and I feel I'm so sorry. I have ADHD, so I go all over. So I'm so sorry if your podcast has taken such a strange turn.
No, we're good.
But and we can talk about this at another time. But my friends and I always thought it was normal to almost be kidnapped growing up because
really.
All of us were almost all kidnapped.
Oh my god!
And apparently that's not normal. But so it was like we grew up in Bloomington. We grew up in the Twin Cities.
Because I said you're not too far from Jacob Wetterling was not too far. That from
was
the cities.
that was kind of probably the distance from Mankato to the Twin Cities, like probably about 70 miles. It wasn't that close, but it's still. I mean, you're 12. One of your biggest fears is being kidnapped.
And you gotta explain your.
Yeah, one more story for this episode. We got to hear the kidnap story.
Well, it's just, I mean, so my sisters, and I have two younger sisters, my sisters and I, and then my friend Andrew, who played Enrico Polini in Bullets Over Bloomington, my high school movie that I told you about last night.
Yeah.
And then my sister's friend Annie Mouse. We all grew up together, and I always call it the sister thread. We always have like this group text, and we're just kind of, we change the name of the text, and we always just kind of like bitch about things. But we were all talking about the Bloomington, when I was 5 and we lived in South Minneapolis. I remember riding my bike around the block and a man stopped me and said he would give me 50 cents if I went into his car and he could suck my toes.
What?
Okay.
And it's so creepy.
My gosh.
It's so creepy to like.
That was when you were 12?
No, when I was 5.
5. Oh,
I was 5. And
oh my god.
That's younger than my sister.
Yeah, that's messed up.
And I remember, I was riding my bike and my little friend Sarah Auerbach was in front of me. And we live, Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, it's a grid system. So, I mean, it's a block. Like, so the rule was you stay on the block. You can so we would just ride our little bicycles,
Yep.
And now you would never let a 5-year-old do that.
No.
But I remember, I think like there's just an inherent feeling inside of you, like, something's wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that this isn't really someone you should.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember going, no, that's okay. Like, no, thank you. And, like, getting on my bike and riding back to my house. And I remember going into the house and telling my dad and my mom. And I remember my dad calling the police. And I don't remember what happened after that.
Wow. 5 years old, though. That's messed up.
Right?
He just let you go?
He did. Yeah.
Well, she wouldn't be here if you didn't.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't know if you tried to get her or anything.
And that man is now my father. He raised me. No.
No, I didn't know if you tried to get you or anything.
No, I don't remember there ever being like, cause, I mean, it was, these are busy neighborhoods, and it was the middle of the day.
He probably thought he'd get away with it if you're 5.
Right.
Yeah, that's messed up.
But it is just that feeling, like you just have like a sense.
Oh yeah.
Even as a child, and then another time.
Oh my gosh.
I was, and this is weird. This is when we lived in Bloomington, and I was right in my yard, our side yard, like I had just gotten off the bus.
Yeah.
And I was probably about 12. Maybe younger, maybe 10, 11 or something. And these two women pull up in a convertible. They're in our, and we live kind of like on a dead end. So it was like, if you didn't live there, like you wouldn't really be driving in there. And it was so textbook. It was like, will you get in the car and help us find our lost puppy?
Oh my God.
And I was like, even at the time thinking like, be a little more creative.
Yeah.
Like this is exactly what they warn you about, like in school. Like, I mean, you know, I'll give you candy and help me find my lost puppy. Like, how dumb do you think I am? Yeah. But she didn't know that was literally my house that I was walking by. I mean, I had my backpack and
that's messed up.
And I remember just going, no, this is my house, and running inside. And I don't think I ever told anyone about that.
This is the first time?
Well, no, I don't think I told my parents.
Oh, I don't think I told. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think I told anyone. And then, my friend Andrew, same thing. It was, I can't remember his story, but it was like something similar. My friend Annie, something similar. Wow. I don't think my sisters had anything similar to that.
That's crazy.
But I mean, it was just like, I don't know. I think you have to cultivate that fear in children. No. Like, it scares me crapless because my nephew Marcos is the sweetest, most loving. He's almost 9. I mean, he would go, like, when he was little, a stranger is just a friend he hasn't met yet.
Oh
we would always joke, like, if someone dressed up like Hitler and was like, hey, Marcos, come play with me. He'd be like, okay.
Trusting everybody.
Yeah, he was so trusting. And I don't know. Like, you have to try and cultivate that fear, maybe somehow trust that fear.
Especially nowadays, it's scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
And the weird part about the second story is 2 women. You don't hear about that. That's very interesting.
So I know it. And one was the older woman, and I don't know in my head because I was like 10 or 11.
Ago,
older might have been maybe someone in their 20s. I know it was like an older woman and a younger woman.
That's crazy.
Probably hired.
I don't know. I don't know.
That.
It's really strange.
They do that. Old. Yeah, that's weird though.
You've heard about or you hear about lately, like people in the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
Having like an old lady or somebody.
Yeah. Like
outside their car
or something.
Come over here and then they throw you in their van.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't also believe in walking around and suspecting everyone also. I mean,
it's too bad because nowadays it's almost gotten to that point where you can't really trust anybody. Because with the Molly Tibbetts thing, it blew up on Twitter and Facebook. That's all people are talking about.
Yeah.
And then there's all these people coming out with stories, so it's kind of like I feel bad for these teenage girls and other people too, because it hasn't just been teenage girls. Because now they don't really know if you can trust anybody.
Right.
What if someone needs your help? You're like, I don't know if I should help.
I mean, I think about a lot of stupid situations I put myself into, when I was in my young. Because we used to be able to get into bars at 16 in the Twin Cities. They would have all ages nights. Yeah.
Dang.
And I mean, I would be like. And trust me, my parents didn't know that I was doing that. The rule was I wasn't supposed to leave Bloomington, but I did. And we would go hang out. And a lot of the gay bars were the ones that would let you in. So we went to a lot of the gay bars.
Wow.
But it's like I would meet my friends downtown.
Yeah.
So I would park separately.
Yeah.
And walk on my own. I'm just a dumbass 16-year-old. I mean, there's no cell phones then.
No. Yeah, that could have been a bad situation.
Right? I know.
Wow. Well, times have definitely changed, and I think you could say it got better, it got worse. Hearing these stories from you, it doesn't sound like anything's changed.
I don't think so. I think we just hear about it a lot more.
Because of social media.
More awareness,
Yeah, which is a good thing, because things get solved.
But so that's how, so we got there from Jacob Wetterling. That was the thing, is that, so that specter of being kidnapped was very real in my life, especially because it seemed common.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow. Well,
I know.
We kind of jumped all over the place.
We did.
We talked
I know.
about everything.
That's my brain. I'm so sorry.
No,
though.
That's good though.
No, I love talking.
Give me an outline next time, or tell me to stick to something.
Well, we could narrow down in a couple of these things. The DB Cooper thing is interesting. All of these houses you can stay at, the killer houses, those are interesting. We can delve into something else, but we'll definitely have to get you back on here. It's been great to have you, Sarah.
All right.
And thank you, Reynaldo, for coming on. And Peter, excellent job here back there with Google. We got it figured out finally. Just don't use Yahoo. That's our message for the day. We're doing a big old product placement here for Google. Yahoo was not a successful browser. So thanks everyone for tuning in to the Ethan Clerc Podcast Show. Make sure you share, comment, like, subscribe, retweet, any platform you're on. Just give us a good review or a bad review if you didn't like the show. I guess I can't be making people give us a good review. So whatever you thought about it, we always appreciate suggestions and ideas for future people on. We'll be back next week, hopefully not in my bedroom.
Yeah, we can only hope.
Right next to my bed and everybody congested together. Hopefully we have
Remember, we're looking, so if you know of somewhere, let us know.
If anybody watching has a garage or anything, we'll take it to get out of my bedroom.
I don't know if I want to go in some people's garage.
As long as you're not a killer or an axe murderer, we're coming in. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back next week. This is the Ethan Clerc Podcast Show.